Hi everyone, I'm Max from AFM. Welcome to the Pilot Training Connect podcast, where we interview individuals from the pilot training industry to learn more about their organizations and their views of the industry. Every week, we will invite an industry leader to sit down with us to learn more about their products and services and how they view the industry moving forward. This week, I have the great pleasure to be joined by Thor Andersen, partner at VRPilot, one of the fastest growing virtual reality pilot training solution providers in the world. Welcome to the Pilot Training Connect podcast, Thor.
Thank you, Max. It's great to be on it.
So Thor, I have been following VRPilot's VRPilot rights from its launch a couple of years ago, and I've been following you closely all across the years, and it's absolutely tremendous how quickly you've grown and how quickly you've established your geographical footprint. But for everyone who's listening, can you give a brief introduction to both VRPilot and then also to yourself, because I think you have quite an interesting background.
Absolutely. Yeah, so at VRPilot, we started our operations close to 4 years ago, and we specialize in interactive procedure training software for pilots all across airlines, ATOs, flight schools, private individuals. And we seek to utilize the emerging technology of primarily virtual reality to enable this technology to help people learn faster, hone their skills more, and really become better pilots. So we try to make this thing, virtual reality, that was sort of a technical gimmick not more than 5-8 years ago, into something that's really a useful everyday product that can give value to both on a big scale, the airlines, the ATOs, but also on a personal scale to help people achieve their maximum training potential, really. So we've been through quite a journey the past 4 years, going from having just one ATO as our customer. Our first customer was actually the Royal Danish Air Force, where we sort of tested the concept, adjusted things based on feedback, and allowed us to really get a great reception from the ATOs and eventually the airlines, where we seem to have sort of hit a sweet spot in taking an emerging technology and really making it into something useful. Something that we've also seen a lot of success with is the way we sort of tailor the product to each customer. So we don't try to make something generic, one size fits all, fits none. But what really makes value out at the customers is that they get something that fits their manuals, their SOPs, their aircraft layout one-to-one. So that's really the core part of our business, customizing to each customer. Okay. On a personal note, I myself, I've been flying myself for 12-13 years. And it's actually I sort of only have a private pilot's license. Everything I ever wanted to do was be an airline pilot, but I have a color vision deficiency. That's what we call it ourselves, but people more commonly refer to it as color blindness. So that has restricted me to a Class 2 medical. But I have succeeded, thanks to some new EASA regulations that came out 4 or 5 years ago, to get a flight instructor rating. So that sort of helps me connect with the community that we make the products for, as well as on a personal note, helping others achieve the dream that I could never live. Yeah. But yeah, and then it also gives a lot of understanding of how the product should work in an operational context. Other than that, I have a background in the defense industry and the aerospace industry. I have a master's degree in aircraft design and aerodynamics, and I've been with some different defense companies, Lockheed Martin, Danish Aerotech, and the Danish defense contractor called Therma. And it was through the activities at my previous employer, Therma, that I sort of got an eye-opener for what these emerging technologies of virtual reality could do in a pilot context.
Okay, and you it's really great to hear that your first customer, you know, was the Royal Danish Air Force. Since then, I know you have onboarded a very large number of customers of different types, from airlines to ATOs. Can you share with everyone kind of currently your client geographical footprint, and then also kind of what the different types of organizations are that are currently using your virtual reality products?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have seen a very global adoption of our products, which is both super interesting for us and also great for the business, because there's a wide spread in the geographical locations of the adoption of our products. So we sort of have three main categories of customers. There are the airlines who use our products typically for their new hires, when they get in and get their type rating for the specific aircraft type that the airline uses. But they also use it for recurrent training, for captain upgrades, and they're seeing more and more use of how this technology can be used with them. That's one of the great things about getting feedback from the customers, is that it gives us ideas on how we can further utilize this technology and increase the value of the product. So that's the airlines. Then we have the flying schools, what we in Europe refer to as the ATOs. And they typically use the product for the last phase of so in EASA terms, we have the integrated ATPL education that finishes typically with the MCC course, where there are some American equivalents, but the EASA version, the MCC course, is about learning how to cooperate in a cockpit. That's typically a complex aircraft, airliner type cockpit, where the students don't necessarily need to learn how to operate the entire aircraft, because it's not a type rating, but they need to know all the technical stuff and the procedures. But these learning objectives is not the main thing of the MCC course. It's the soft skills, the CRM part of it. So the ATOs use our product to have the students very quickly learn all the technical stuff, so they can faster focus on the soft skills, the CRM part. Then some ATOs have also begun to adapt the technology for the ab initio part. So the single engine training, the multi-engine training for the procedural side, because they have realized the potential of really teaching the students procedures fast and efficiently and get better knowledge retention. And that is also super relevant for the single engine and the multi-engine part. Maybe especially when the students come in and are brand new to flying and they need to sort of develop a method to memorize procedures, then this is a great help for them. So that's one of the emerging areas of our products where they're used. Then the third category of customers is military, and it's the smallest customer base we have. Those are the military, with the main one being the Royal Danish Air Force. They use it for their equivalent of the ab initio course with an ATO, where the students come in and have no idea about flying, and they have to learn how to fly and go solo in, I think, a month or two. It's ridiculously short time they have there. Then you could say we have a fourth customer segment, and those are the private individuals. We do offer generic versions of our products with the aircraft types that we have for the Apple App Store, for the Meta App Lab, what used to be called the Oculus VR headsets. So for private use, so private individuals can benefit from this technology as well. It could be some pilots who are with an ATO or an airline who don't have our products, but they want to become better at what they do on a personal level. So to those, we offer these private generic versions, but also private pilots, corporate pilots, could be anything like that. So we sort of try to aim broadly on this.
I think it's absolutely tremendous how you have kind of grown your coverage, right? Starting off with the kind of ab initio flight training phase and providing a virtual reality procedure solution for that, and then going all the way to the simulated training, or type specific, a jet procedure training, and now you're coming, or not coming back again, but really like cover this whole segment. Can you share maybe some of the recent announcements and some of the recent customers that you've been able to win?
Yeah, absolutely. So over the past few months, we have had the absolute pleasure of onboarding Horizon Air out of Portland. They are a part of the Alaska Air Group, where we will be delivering our product for the Embraer E175. They are in the phase of replacing their older Q400s with the Embraer, so they are going to use our product to help this transition of their pilots. Then we very recently had the pleasure of welcoming Iceland Air, who will be using our product for their growing fleet of 737 Maxes. So that's super exciting. Also because on a personal note, I love Iceland. I've traveled there a few times. And on the ATO side, the most recent ATOs we've welcomed is Oman Aviation Academy and Aviomar out of Italy. And they will be using Aviomar, they will be using it for their MCC course. And Oman, they have adopted the whole package across from their ab initio up to their MCC course. Then we have also sort of on the product side, the most recent developments there is that we are now offering the Diamond 40 and Diamond 42 aircraft, both for, of course, our enterprise ATO customers, but also for private individuals, because these aircraft types are sort of some of the, at least mainly adopted aircraft type across the ATOs in the world. At least the Diamond 42 is, I think last I checked, was the most used twin trainer aircraft, at least in Europe.
Okay. Again, I think that's a very good point to kind of go into. Can you share currently all of the aircraft types from single engine to multi-engine to kind of commercial jet that VRPilot currently covers?
Yeah, absolutely. So almost taken in chronological order, we the one we did for the Danish Air Force is the Saab T-17. That was sort of a special project that we won't be offering to anyone else because they have a lot of special equipment in there. Then we offer the 737 NG, 737 MAX, A320, and the Embraer E-Jet series, and we'll also be offering the E2 series. Then we, excuse me, like I said, we have the Diamonds, the A40, the A42, and the ATR 600 series.
Okay, very interesting. I actually did not know about the ATR 600 series. That is phenomenal. And in terms of you were just mentioning even kind of the geographical footprint of some of these clients which are using your virtual reality technology, right from the US to the Middle East. How does it work with kind of the different regulators in the different jurisdictions? So let's say, for example, someone is listening and they are located in Thailand or in Nigeria and would be interested to integrate this procedure training. Is there any approval that they need to obtain in order to make use of this technology?
That's a very good question, Max, and also one of the things that we are considering looking a lot more into, because currently there is no approval available for this type of technology. It is exclusively been used as a supplementary training aid. Honestly, so far, the motivation among our customers to have this product being approved has been pretty low, because the product has already been generating so much value without being approved that going through the whole process and the cost of approving the product the business case has just not been there yet for them. But something that could be very interesting for us is to get, probably to start with, maybe an EASA, because we are located as a company in an EASA country, but maybe through one of our US customers, an FAA certification of some level. It is something that we are curious about starting to look into, maybe with one of our great customers, to see what would it take. We've already seen the approval of the first virtual reality flying simulator. So ours is exclusively for procedure training, but the first flight simulator, the Swiss company that used to be called VM Switzerland.
Dynamics.
Yeah, Love Dynamics, they're called now, yeah. So this is a super interesting development, also seen from our side, despite it's not exactly the same product, but it shows, at least from an EASA perspective, that they are they're very interested and open to these types of technologies, also from a regulator standpoint.
Yeah, I think this was really kind of the point that I was trying to understand and communicate, that any ATO or airline which might be listening, that you can reach out to Thor, you can reach out to VRPilot if you have curiosity for this, because currently the training is supplementary rather than it needing regulatory approval. I think quite often a lot of the ATOs that I've spoken to in the past, they are sometimes worried, let's say they're outside of EASA. Okay, if I bring this technology into they will, most of the time they will be the first within that country, and then the regulator will be like, oh, but what is this? You're adding this to your training, right? It creates such a buzz that that sometimes ATOs are slightly worried, on how to tackle this.
Yeah, and on that note, it's always a great help for new for ATOs who are interested in our product, but have sort of their concerns. How exactly does this work for us, to see other ATOs adapt it? Maybe even ATOs in their region, or ATOs that they have a partnership with. That also goes for the airlines. We have seen a lot of interest each time we get a new airline customer from other airlines, because the airlines will then contact us. They say, oh, okay, I can see that this airline, they've started using their product. That generated my curiosity, because if they use it and they get value from it, we can definitely benefit from it as well. So yeah, it's a good point, Max.
Yeah, does VRPilot have kind of like a white paper, or like a use case which for ATOs, be it simulator training centers or flight schools, for anyone who is interested in terms of the potential efficiency and training benefits? I know sometimes it's hard to measure, but I know that right now in the industry, more and more the impact of VR on training is being measured, and through this measurement is being seen. I've heard from and I've read about different sources within the industry how how implementing a VR procedure trainer into their training operations has significantly improved training efficiency, right from the flight school level to the initial type ratings. So how would ATOs and airlines who are kind of curious to find out more about this, should they reach out to you to kind of get some of that data, or maybe some of that information, or what do you think is the best approach?
Yeah, we have sort of a general white paper style text on this on our webpage. Regarding a study from our own side, it is something that we have not tried to push too much, because it has to be done in collaboration with our customers, and they sort of want to take one step at a time in what they want to measure and what kind of data they can share with us. So we are very much dependent on customers who would like to do this in collaboration with us. Some of our customers, they are sort of gathering metrics that we are looking forward to eventually, hopefully, put together in some type of white paper. So we are trying to get a very broad input from all our different customers to a sort of to complete a formal type of study on the exact efficiency of this. There is a lot of data out there, definitely in general, how much VR training will add in terms of efficiency and so forth. There has also been aviation-specific studies on this. Embry-Riddle has done a study that's being referred by multiple companies in this business. Our product is a little more specific on the procedures and not so much on the flying part. So we want to be able to do a more dedicated study on this, and that is something we have a plan of doing with our customers who want to participate in this study. But we want it to be across different types of customers. So each prospective customer can see how efficient in an airline context, how does it work in an ATO context, how does it work in a military context.
Okay, fantastic. Really fantastic. Yeah, I very much look forward to that, and I welcome everyone to also reach out to Thor and VRPilot to ask any questions that you might have. I know this technology and kind of the implementation of it, or to supplement the existing training programs right across the world, is definitely a new frontier. Thor, I would like to ask you, how do you currently see the pilot training industry, coming out of COVID? What are kind of the key trends that you're seeing? What are the key developments? Are you watching anything very carefully? What is your view in general on the state of the industry?
Yeah, so obviously, right now we are seeing a massive hiring trend across the entire planet almost, especially with the airlines. We see these crazy offers and sign-on bonuses we haven't seen in the industry for decades. Just really seeing this big ramp up. And that is it's a very interesting case for us, because it is something where we aim to support this demand through the technologies that can make the onboarding process and also the recruitment process more efficient, and also make it more modern in some cases. This is what we offer is a great way to sort of modernize and even standardize some training, streamlining the whole onboarding and the initial type rating process in the case of airlines. We also have seen a lot of, first of all, interest, but also a great rate of adaptation of new technologies, not only VR, but also in terms of AI and some of the other. We spoke about the former VRM Switzerland, now Love Dynamics. All these emerging technologies that help supply the demand of pilots across the industry. So it's very exciting times indeed, and it's going to be interesting to see where both we as a company, but the industry in general, is just a year from now, if this trend is going to continue, and how we find new ways of supporting the demand, really.
And I think especially like the VRPilot solution comes in very handy right now, where both ATOs and airlines have this large training demand, but the training infrastructure is fixed, or in some cases has even reduced because of the pandemic. So the more efficient the training is, and the more prepared pilots are when they use, be it a training aircraft or be it a full flight simulator, the better it is for operations. I know, as an example, especially for Airbus A320, that in large parts of the globe, Airbus A320 full flight simulator capacity is fully booked out months in advance. So a product like yours could fit in very well to ensure that when pilots go onto the equipment, they are already very familiar, and remedial training, or any additional training is reduced. Is that also specifically what you're seeing?
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. And this is exactly one of the key points that we are trying to address with our products. The accessibility to training devices that have so far been restricted to some training centers, where in some cases you would have to fly across the entire country just to spend maybe one session in the simulator that could have been done in a non-approved training device like the ones that we offer. And even airlines or operators who have their operations scattered among different bases, our product is sort of a multi-crew capable, so you can sit in different locations and be in the same virtual cockpit. So in this sense, you can not only limit travel and access to the actual simulators, but you can also utilize instructor capacities across different bases. So you could have an instructor who was sitting in Italy conducting training sessions for students sitting in Norway, for example. So this could further increase the efficiency and reduce the need of access to the big simulators at the training centers, reduce the need for travel, and thereby also saving some costs.
Okay. And let's say I'm an airline or I'm an ATO, and I'm facing some of these training capacity constraints. How would I go about, onboarding VRPilot as a supplement training tool?
Yeah, so we excuse me, we are very so the way it really works is that when we get a new customer, the first thing we ask from them is, okay, give us a copy of your SOP, your AFCOM, your procedures, and then we pretty much prepare the entire software to match their procedures one-to-one. Then we have a subject matter expert, typically a chief instructor or something like that, approve the way we've implemented the procedures. And then it's more or less ready to use. We have tried to make our products as user-friendly as possible with built-in guides, but we do have sort of a package for new customers on best practices on how to use VR, what we have seen other customers do and what works best for them. Because to some, virtual reality can be a bit of a tech gimmicky thing that they don't really have personal experience with. So we are very proactive in supporting people in implementing it in their organization, to really start having it generate value as fast as possible and avoid all these startup problems that a lot of people have. So we really try to support all the customers we have to have them really start using the product from day one they have it, and not having a long period of rolling in the product and adapting it and trying things and so on.
Yeah.
Because we really want to skip past that.
Okay, and in terms of the hardware, what type of headset does VRPilot use?
Yeah, so we rely on commercially available VR headsets, so we are not as vulnerable if one headset supplier stops manufacturing the headset, or if they make a software update that makes it incompatible with our product. So we support all the major VR headset brands that are out there. We really specialize on the standalone headsets, meaning the ones you don't need a computer to run. So the standalone headsets, everything is self-contained. It runs on a battery, so you can pretty much just bring it in your suitcase to the hotel before your SIM check or whatever. But the ones that we support are the ones that used to be called Oculus. They are now Meta's, the Quest products. We also support HTC Vive headsets. The Vive Focus 3 is the one that we currently have a retail agreement on. And then the Pico headsets. The Pico is a VR headset sort of a specialist, especially in the enterprise market. And the new Pico 4 that has just come out is sort of the main headset from them at least, that we have a retail agreement on.
Okay, because for me, I think that I've always found that a very kind of great value addition, because it also allows your clients to kind of scale relatively quickly. It's it's not custom headsets, but if suddenly they've got a new batch of pilots coming in, and they would they can very easily in most of the countries kind of buy this domestically, and then
exactly. And we offer retailing the headsets to the customers. We have reseller agreements in most regions of the world. But as you say, the customer could also go out, purchase the headsets themselves, and then we help them in getting the software on them. It's a lot more straightforward than people think. But we have been very conscious about, we offer the whole package, so people don't have to find out, okay, what types of headsets are out there, how do I get them, how do we install the software, all this. So we sort of deliver what's in the software business called a white glove solution. Also the scalability that you mentioned is an interesting aspect, because if you suddenly have an increased demand for procedure training devices, if you were to go out and purchase a new flat panel trainer, this would be a fairly large investment. These cost between $300,000 and $500,000 just for one. Then you could easily scale the capacity up with getting additional VR headsets that cost a fraction of that cost. So the scalability is also a very important aspect when considering these types of solutions.
So I have a question for you, because I've been following VRPilot now for for the 4 years since you launched. How do you see the future of the pilot training industry developing over the next few years? And where do you see VRPilot? Let's say this time next year, and then let's say also this time in 3 years' time.
Yeah, so if we look at a year from now, we are hopefully on the upgoing curve still, and very strongly. And with all the airline customers that we have onboarded so far, we hope and expect that a lot more airlines will have adopted the technology. We also expect that the airlines who have adopted our products, they see more and more use cases for it that can be shared with the community, generate more inspiration among other airlines, and also bring feedback to us on how we can further increase the value of this type of training. Maybe at walk around external inspection scenarios, training scenarios for ground crew who need to power up the aircraft electrically, all these kinds of things. So we, in a year from now, we expect to see sort of that picture. On the longer term, we in the aviation industry, we are shifting towards some of the new emerging technologies, also in terms of sustainability. And this is something I think that that the type of technology that we are concerned with nicely supports, because having these the procedure training part can be done a lot more efficiently with a lot more smaller, more energy efficient devices, also devices that I talked about before. You can train across multiple locations, reducing the need for travel. So I think these the use of virtual reality as a flight crew training tool is something that nicely supports the trend that the aviation industry is going through on the 3-year scale.
I think this is, you know, I find especially kind of this feature of being able to train from in different geographical parts of the globe extremely unique. I find it also extremely useful because, you know, looking at the industry, we see there's an increasing instructor shortage. And so, you know, operators or ATOs might have an instructor who will be extremely busy and kind of engaged to kind of conduct training across like all different batches, cannot be in all places one. So also, once again, I see a massive kind of benefit to potential clients in terms of integrating this supplement technology to drive their training efficiency.
Yeah, and we talked about earlier the huge demand there is for pilots, and also some of the challenges that poses to the ATOs instructor shortage. So so having the possibility of supporting the flight schools, the ATOs, with instructors who might have an airline job on the side, that is something that that this type of technology enables, that our product enables. I know at least one case where one of our customers, they have an instructor on their MCC course who flies cargo airline out of southern Germany, and he's able to perform remote MCC procedure training sessions with students at the home base ATO, which is in Scandinavia. So that was something they were not able to do before, but they can do now. And this use case could be very relevant for other ATOs, especially as more and more instructors are getting sucked up by the demand of the airlines.
Yeah. I think for like looking ahead the next 3 years, I am extremely excited to see kind of VRPilot's continued growth. I think in 3 years' time, we're going to see VRPilot headsets from all the way east to really all the way west. So I really wish you and the rest of the VRPilot team all the best of luck. And for anyone who is listening, if you are keen to learn more about the different offering that VRPilot has, please check out their website, www.VRPilot.aero, or connect with Thor on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, if I'm not mistaken, people should just search for Thor Paulli Andersen. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And is there anything else you want to share, or what is your preferred kind of way for people to reach you?
LinkedIn is great. Email works as well. Tango Papa Alpha at VRPilot.aero. And let me just say, the technology is ready. It's being used by all the different aspects of the aviation industry. So just hurry up and come on board.
Sounds good. Thor, thank you very much. And I wish you a good day.
Thank you, Max. It was a pleasure to be here.